Bo Jackson.
Vincent Edward Bo Jackson is a retired American baseball and football player. He is the only athlete to be named an All-Star in two major American sports. He was named the greatest athlete of all time by ESPN. While at Auburn University, Jackson won the 1985 Heisman Trophy, annually awarded to the most outstanding collegiate football player in the United States. In 1989 and 1990, Jackson's name became known beyond just sports fans through the Bo Knows advertising campaign, a series of advertisements by Nike, that starred Jackson alongside Rock and Roll Hall of Fame musician Bo Diddley, promoting a cross-training athletic shoe named for Jackson. After a 1991 hip injury on the field ended his football career, he focused on baseball, and expanded into other pursuits, including the completion of his Bachelor of Science degree in Family and Child Development at Auburn, and appearing in small parts as an actor, in TV shows such as Married with Children, and films such as The Chamber.
Early life.
Jackson, the eighth of 10 children, was born and raised in Bessemer, Alabama, and was named after Vince Edwards, his mother's favorite actor. His family described him as a wild boar hog, as he would constantly get into trouble. The nickname was eventually shortened to Bo. Jackson attended McAdory High School in McCullough, where he rushed for 1175 yards as a running back as a high school senior. Jackson hit 20 home runs in 25 games for McAdory's baseball team during his senior season. He was a two-time state champion in the decathlon. In 1982, Bo set state school records for indoor high jump, 6'9" inches, and triple jump, 48.8.
College 1982 to 1985.
In June 1982, Jackson was selected by the New York Yankees in the second round of the 1982 Major League Baseball draft, but he instead chose to attend Auburn University on a football scholarship because he promised his mother he'd be the first in the family to go to college. He was recruited by head coach Pat Dye and then Auburn assistant coach Bobby Wallace. At Auburn, he proved to be a tremendous athlete in both baseball and football. He shared the backfield with quarterback Randy Campbell, Lionel Little, Train James, and Tommy Agee.
College baseball.
Jackson batted .401 with 17 home runs and 43 RBIs in 1985. In a 1985 baseball game against the Georgia Bulldogs at Foley Field in Athens, Georgia, Jackson led Auburn to victory with a 4-for-5 performance, with 3 home runs and a double. Jackson missed much of his senior season after being ruled ineligible by the NCAA following a visit with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who he believes tried to sabotage his baseball career.
Statistics. College football.
During his time playing for the Auburn Tigers football team, he ran for 4,303 career yards, which was the fourth best performance in SEC history. Jackson finished his career with an average of 6.6 yards, 6.0 m, per carry, which set the SEC record, minimum 400 rushes. In 1982, Jackson's freshman year, Auburn played Boston College in the Tangerine Bowl, where Jackson made a one-handed grab on an option pitch. Auburn went on to win the game 33-26 as Jackson rushed 14 times for 64 yards and 2 TDs. In 1983, as a sophomore, Jackson rushed for 1,213 yards, 1,109 m, on 158 carries, for an average of 7 yards per carry, which was the second-best single-season average in SEC history, minimum 100 rushes. In the 1983 Auburn-Alabama game, Jackson rushed for 256 yards on 20 rushes, 12.8 yards per carry, which at the time was the sixth most rushing yards gained in a game in SEC history and the second-best yard per rush average in a game, minimum 20 attempts, in SEC history. Auburn finished the season by winning the Sugar Bowl, where Jackson was named Most Valuable Player. In 1984, Jackson's junior year, most of which Jackson missed due to injury, he earned Most Valuable Player honors at the Liberty Bowl. In 1985, Jackson rushed for 1,786 yards, which was the second-best single-season performance in SEC history. That year, he averaged 6.4 yards per rush, which at the time was the best single-season average in SEC history. For his performance in 1985, Jackson was awarded the Heisman Trophy in what was considered the closest margin of victory ever in the history of the award, winning over University of Iowa quarterback Chuck Long. Jackson finished his career at Auburn with 4,675 all-purpose yards and 45 total touchdowns, 43 rushing and 2 receiving, with a 6.6 yards per carry average. Jackson's football number 34 was officially retired at Auburn in a halftime ceremony on October 31, 1992. His is one of only 3 numbers retired at Auburn. The others are 1971 Heisman Trophy winner Pat Sullivan's number 7, and the number 88 of Sullivan's teammate and favorite receiver, Terry Beasley. In 2007, Jackson was ranked number 8 on ESPN's Top 25 Players in College Football History list.
Statistics. Historic moments.
On November 27, 1982, Bo Jackson and the Auburn Tigers found themselves embattled with their heated in-state rival, Alabama, 7-3, in the Iron Bowl in Birmingham, Ala. Auburn held a 14-13 halftime lead when Alabama's R.B. Paul Otkaroth scored on an 8-yard TD run, and then the Crimson Tide added a field goal to make it a 22-14. Alabama led going into the fourth quarter. Auburn responded as Al Del Greco made a 23-yard FG to make it a 22-17 score in the fourth quarter. From Auburn's own 34-yard line, Bo Jackson and company began a long drive as he converted on a 4th and 1 at the Alabama 42. Jackson, who ran 17 times for 114 yards during this Iron Bowl, continued marching his team downfield as he caught an 8-yard pass from QB Randy Campbell down to the Alabama 1-yard line. On 4th down with 2:26 left in the game, Jackson completed the drive by going over the top for a 1-yard TD run as Auburn finished 9-3 in 82, pulled off a 23-22 victory over Alabama and its legendary coach, Paul Bear Bryant.
College track and field.
Jackson qualified for the NCAA Nationals in the 100-meter dash in his freshman and sophomore years. He considered a career in track and field, but sprinting would not gain him the financial security of the MLB or NFL, nor would he have sufficient time to train, given his other commitments. Going into the 1986 NFL Draft, Jackson ran a 4.12 40-yard dash time. This dash was officially hand-timed because the NFL Combine didn't start electronically timing athletes until 2000.
Personal bests. Professional sports career. Baseball. Kansas City Royals.
Jackson was selected with the first overall pick of the 1986 NFL Draft by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but he opted to play baseball for the Kansas City Royals, the defending World Series champions, who had drafted him in the 4th round in the 1986 amateur draft. He spent 53 games with the Memphis Chicks, the Royals' Class AA minor league affiliate, and was called up to the majors in September 1986. He made the Royals roster in 1987 and hit 22 home runs, with 53 RBIs and 10 stolen bases as an outfielder. Jackson began to show his true potential in 1989, when he was voted to start for the American League All-Star team, and was named the game's MVP for his play on both offense and defense. In the top of the first inning, he caught Pedro Guerrero's 2-out line drive to left center field to save 2 runs. Then he led off the bottom of the first, his first All-Star plate appearance, with a monstrous 448-foot, 137 home run off Rick Ruschel of the San Francisco Giants. NBC TV announcer Van Scully exclaimed, "Look at that one. Bo Jackson says hello." Wade Boggs followed with his own home run, making them the first pair in All-Star history to lead off their sides first with back-to-back home runs. In the second inning, he beat out the throw on a potential double play to drive in the eventual winning run. He then stole second base, making him one of two players in All-Star Game history to hit a home run and steal a base in the same game. The other is Willie Mays. Jackson finished the game with 2 hits in 4 at-bats, 1 run scored, and 2 RBI. On June 5, 1989, Jackson ran down a long line drive deep to left field on a hit-and-run play against the Seattle Mariners. With speedy Harold Reynolds running from first base on the play, Scott Bradley's hit would have been deep enough to score him against most outfielders. But Jackson, from the warning track, turned flat-footed and fired a strike to catcher Bob Boone, who tagged the sliding Reynolds out. Jackson's throw reached Boone on the fly. Interviewed for the Bo Jackson episode of ESPN Classic Sports Century, Reynolds admitted that he thought there was no way anyone would throw him out on such a deep drive into the gap in left center, and was shocked to see his teammate telling him to slide as he rounded third base. On July 29, 1989 against the Baltimore Orioles, Jackson, batting against Jeff Ballard, turned to the home plate umpire and attempted to call timeout as Ballard was delivering the ball. The timeout wasn't granted, but Jackson recovered to swing and hit the pitch over the left field wall for a home run despite only really seeing the ball as it was on its way to the plate. Jackson's 171 strikeouts in 1989 tied him for 10th most strikeouts in a season for a right-hand batter since 1893. On July 11, 1990 against the Orioles, Jackson performed his famous wall run, when he caught a ball approximately 2 to 3 strides away from the wall. As he caught the ball at full tilt, Jackson looked up and noticed the wall and began to run up the wall, one leg reaching higher as he ascended. He ran along the wall almost parallel to the ground, and came down with the catch, to avoid impact and the risk of injury from the fence. During the 1990 season, Jackson hit 8 Rs in 4 consecutive at-bats, tying a major league record, held by several. His 4th came off of Randy Johnson after hitting his first 3 before a stint on the DL. After a poor at-bat he was known to snap the bat over his knee or, with his helmet on, over his head. Unwilling to pay his $2.375 million salary in 1991 to rehabilitate his football injury, the Royals released Jackson on March 18, 1991.
Chicago White Sox and California Angels.
Before Jackson finished his career in California, he played 2 seasons with the Chicago White Sox, appearing in 23 games in 1991 and 85 games in 1993. It was with the White Sox that he made his only postseason appearance, in the 1993 American League Championship Series, which Chicago lost to the Toronto Blue Jays in 6 games. While with the Sox, Jackson promised his mom that once he returned from his hip replacement surgery that he would hit a home run for her. Before he could return, his mother died. In his first at-bat after surgery he hit a home run to right field. Jackson had the ball encased in acrylic and bolted to the dresser in her room, according to an interview on ESPN. In his 8 baseball seasons, Jackson had a career batting average of 250, hit 141 home runs and had 415 RBIs, with a slugging average of 474. His best year was 1989, with his effort earning him All-Star status. In 1989, Bo ranked 4th in the league in both home runs, with 32, and RBI, with 105.
Notable achievements.
AL All-Star, 1989, 1989 All-Star Game MVP, 1993 AL Comeback Player of the Year Award, 20 home run seasons, 4, 1987 to 1990, 30 home run seasons, 1, 1989. 100 RBI seasons, 1, 1989.
MLB statistics. Football.
Jackson was drafted first overall in the 1986 NFL Draft by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Controversy abounded before then that resulted in Jackson never playing for the team. In addition to giving Jackson an ultimatum to pick between sports, Buccaneers management took Jackson on owner Hugh Culverhouse's private jet to visit with the team during his senior baseball season. Jackson was told by the Buccaneers that the trip, which could potentially have cost Jackson his remaining collegiate eligibility, had been cleared by the NCAA. Jackson was later told by his baseball coach at Auburn that the trip, in fact, was considered to be a violation of NCAA rules and that he was immediately ruled ineligible to play the remainder of the baseball season. Jackson, upset that Culverhouse lied to him, insisted that he would never play for the Buccaneers and that he could draft him if he wanted to, but he would not sign if he was drafted. It was said that Jackson, who was having what he called his best year playing baseball in school, made the Buccaneers nervous and that by getting him somehow ruled ineligible to play baseball, he would be forced to focus on football. Jackson held true to his threat not to sign, and the Buccaneers forfeited his rights before 1987 draft. Jackson was in spring training with the Royals when someone informed him that he had a chance to play football again. Inquiring who it was, Jackson found out that he was taken in the 7th round of the draft with the 183rd pick by the Los Angeles Raiders. Initially Jackson had said he would continue to focus on baseball and would not sign, but his interest was piqued. Raiders owner Al Davis was a fan of Jackson and was receptive to the idea of Jackson playing both baseball and football. Thus, a contract was negotiated where Jackson would be permitted to play the entire baseball season with the Royals and would report to the Raiders once the season was finished. In addition to this, Davis gave Jackson a salary that was in line with what a top-flight starter at halfback would make. Jackson joined the Raiders in time for their Week 7 matchup against the New England Patriots, where he rushed for a total of 37 yards on 8 carries. Jackson shared the backfield with Marcus Allen, himself an All-Pro and former Heisman Trophy contender, but eventually supplanted him as the featured running back despite being listed as the team's fullback. Perhaps his most notable performance in his rookie season came on Monday Night Football against the Seattle Seahawks in Week 11. Prior to the game, Seahawks linebacker Brian Bosworth insulted Jackson and promised an media event before the game to contain Jackson. Jackson responded by running over Bosworth on his way to a touchdown near the goal line. He also made a 91-yard run in the second quarter, to the outside, and touched down the sideline. Jackson was running so fast that his momentum carried him into the tunnel leading to the locker rooms and his teammates had to retrieve him. Jackson rushed for 221 yards that night and 2 touchdowns. He added a third with a reception. In his rookie season, Jackson rushed for a total of 554 yards on only 81 carries for a 6.8 yards per carry average. He played in 7 games, starting 5, and scored a total of 6 touchdowns, 4 rushing, 2 receiving. The next year, Jackson played in 10 of the Raiders' 16 games with 9 starts, recording a total of 580 yards and 3 touchdowns. Jackson's 1989 season was his best in the league. In 11 games, with 9 starts, Jackson rushed for a total of 950 yards with a 5.5 yards per carry average and 4 touchdowns. In his abbreviated 1990 campaign, Jackson rushed for 698 yards and was selected to the only Pro Bowl of his career. In his 4 seasons in the NFL, Jackson rushed for 2,782 yards and 16 touchdowns with an average yards per carry of 5.4. He also caught 40 passes for 352 yards and 2 touchdowns. Jackson's 221 yards on November 30, 1987, just 29 days after his first NFL carry, is still a Monday Night Football record.
NFL statistics. Injury and comeback.
During the divisional round of the 1990 NFL playoffs in January 1991, Jackson was tackled by Kevin Walker of the Cincinnati Bengals, causing a serious hip injury that ended Jackson's football career and seriously threatened his baseball career. After Jackson was tackled and lying in pain on the ground, he allegedly popped his hip back into place. In an interview on Untold, his Royals teammate George Brett, who attended the game, said he asked the trainer what had happened to Bo. The trainer replied, "Bo says he felt his hip come out of the socket, so he popped it back in, but that's just impossible, no one's that strong." Following surgery and rehabilitation on his injured hip, it was discovered that Jackson had a vascular necrosis, as a result of decreased blood supply to the head of his left femur. This caused deterioration of the femoral head, ultimately requiring that the hip be replaced. Amazingly, Jackson was able to return to baseball toward the end of the 1991 season as a member of the White Sox after the Royals had released him. Jackson missed the entire 1992 baseball season. When he announced soon after his surgery that he would play baseball again, many thought that goal to be unrealistic, especially at the major league level. Before returning to baseball, Jackson tried his luck in basketball. He played briefly for a semi-pro team in Los Angeles before quietly retiring to focus on baseball. Jackson was able to return to the Chicago White Sox in 1993, and in his first at-bat, against the New York Yankees, he hit a home run with his first swing. The next day Nike ran a full-page ad in USA Today. It simply read Bo knew. He would hit 16 home runs and 45 RBIs that season, helping lead the White Sox to the American League West Division crown. Jackson was honored with the Tony Conigliaro Award. Yet while his power remained, he no longer possessed his blazing speed. During his time with the White Sox, Jackson had no stolen bases, although he did play in his only career postseason games. For the 1994 season, he was signed as a free agent by the California Angels for one final season, where he hit another 13 home runs in 201 at-bats, before retiring during the strike.
Popularity. Bo knows.
Jackson became a popular figure for his athleticism in multiple sports through the late 1980s and early 1990s. He endorsed Nike and was involved in a popular ad campaign called Bo Knows, which envisioned Jackson attempting to take up a litany of other sports, including tennis, golf, luge, auto racing, and even playing blues music with Bo Diddley, who scolded Jackson by telling him, "You don't know Diddley." In a later version of the spot, Jackson is shown playing the guitar expertly, after which an impressed Diddley says, "Bo, you do know Diddley, don't you?"
Video games.
Called the greatest athlete in video game history, Jackson's digital counterpart was nicknamed by fans as Tecmo Bo since being featured in the 1989 video game Tecmo Super Bowl for the Nintendo Entertainment System. He also had his own video game for the original Game Boy portable gaming system, Bo Jackson's Hit and Run. The game featured both baseball and football. Released around the same time was Bo Jackson Baseball for the NES system and IBM-compatible computers. Bo Jackson can be unlocked as a player in ESPN NFL football. Bo Jackson had also made an appearance in the 2004 video game NFL Street 2. Jackson appeared in Pro Stars, an NBC Saturday morning cartoon show which also featured Wayne Gretzky and Michael Jordan fighting crime and helping children, although neither he, Gretzky, nor Jordan voiced their respective characters.
Apparel.
In 2007, Nike released a set of Nike Dunk shoes honoring Bo Jackson. The set featured 3 colorways based on previously released Nike shoes, the Bo Knows Trainer I, Trainer 91 and Medicine Ball Trainer 3. In 2011, the TecmoBowl.org honored Bo Jackson with a limited edition shirt.
Pre-game traditions.
Before Royals games, Jackson used to shoot at a target with a bow and arrow while in the Royals clubhouse.
Life after sports.
In 1995, Jackson completed his Bachelor of Science degree in Family and Child Development at Auburn to fulfill the promise he made to his mother. Through the 1990s, Jackson dabbled in acting, having made several television guest appearances first on The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air in 1990 as well as Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman and Married with Children. He later appeared in small roles in the films The Chamber, The Pandora Project and Fakin' Da Funk. Jackson served as the president of the Health South Sports Medicine Council, part of Birmingham, Alabama-based Health South Corporation. He was also spokesman for Health South's Go For It roadshow. Jackson is married to wife Linda, a clinical psychologist, and has 3 children, sons Garrett, Nicholas, and daughter Morgan.
2000s.
the Chicago White Sox chose Jackson to throw the ceremonial first pitch before Game 2 of the 2005 World Series. The White Sox would win that game on a ninth-inning walk-off home run, then go on to sweep Houston Astros for their first championship in 88 years. In 2006, Jackson appeared on the Spike TV sports reality show, Pros vs. Joes. In his second appearance, he easily defeated amateur athletes in a home run hitting contest. When he bunted instead of swinging on his final try for a home run, the announcer stated, "Bo knows taunting." In 2007, Bo came together with John Cangelosi to form the Bo Jackson Elite Sports Complex, an 88,000-square-foot, 8,200 m2, multi-sports dome facility in Lockport, Illinois. He is part owner and CEO of the facility. He has been successful with other investments, including a food company, an annuity. He often says that while he may have been great for sports, sports were no doubt greater for him considering the post-career opportunities that have been afforded to him. Jackson and his family live in Burr Ridge, Illinois. He is among a group of investors who own the Burr Ridge Bank and Trust in the Chicago suburbs. He is on the bank's board of directors and is said to be rolling up his sleeves, and working along with everyone else to make sure that the small bank becomes a success during tough financial times. According to Jackson, "We have no type of debt, like all the other banks. We're a small community bank and one thing we all decided, is that if we are going to do a bank in our community, it needs to be owned by the people who live in the community." On May 9, 2009, Jackson delivered the commencement speech at Auburn University's graduation ceremony. His speech was centered on the benefits of stepping out of one's comfort zone.
2010s.
On July 12, 2010, Jackson threw the ceremonial first pitch before the 2010 Home Run Derby at Angel Stadium in Anaheim, California, and participated in the celebrity softball game. After 20 years since his famous Bo Knows campaign, Jackson returned to do commercials for Nike in the fall of 2010 for their Boom campaign. In this commercial, he playfully taunted New York Yankees star Robinson Cano during batting practice before being impressed by a hit, responding to it by saying "boom." In December of that year, Jackson was named a 2011 winner of the NCAA Silver Anniversary Award, given annually to 6 former NCAA student-athletes for distinguished career accomplishment on the 25th anniversary of their college graduation. In April 2012, Jackson participated in Bo Bikes Bama, a 300-mile cycling trip in support of tornado victims in Alabama. On March 3, 2013, Jackson won ESPN's Sports Science Greatest Athlete of All Time bracket, defeating Roger Federer, Muhammad Ali, Michael Jordan in the semi-final, and Jim Brown to claim the title. On January 22, 2014, Bo Jackson rejoins the Chicago White Sox as an ambassador to the team, joining the ranks of Frank Thomas, Minnie Minoso, Carlton Fisk, Ron Kittle, Carlos May, and Bill Melton. Press release.